Let me tell you something that will either set you free or offend you, but it will wake you up. Success is not about talent. It's not about connections. It's not even about timing. It's about discipline. Discipline is the bridge between the version of you that dreams and the version of you that dominates. You don't need more motivation. You need more mastery over your mind. Discipline is what makes the difference between a millionaire mindset and listen, there's a universal law at work. The law of sowing and reaping. You cannot harvest in September what you did not plant in March. So stop asking for results where you've invested no obedience, no consistency, no daily discipline. Discipline means doing what you said you would do long after the mood you set it in has left. That's real integrity. You can't live your best life while making lazy decisions. If you don't command your day will command you. Now, some of you are stuck, not because you're incapable, but because you're undisciplined. You're scrolling when you should be studying. You're watching when you should be working. You're reacting to life instead of leading it. Let me ask you this. How can you expect a life of excellence if you tolerate habits of mediocrity? Discipline is not punishment, it's empowerment. It's the key that unlocks destiny. And here's the truth. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. The question isn't, can I be disciplined? It's, am I willing to pay the price for the life I claim I want? Discipline is the bridge between dreams and domination. It is not just a motivational phrase, it's a principle of power. Every person who has ever built anything of lasting value knows this truth. Dreams are free, but the bridge that leads to their realization is paved with sacrifice, repetition, and unwavering commitment. That bridge is called discipline. Too many people live in the fantasy of dreams, but never take the first step onto that bridge. They say they want success, but their actions say otherwise. They dream of financial freedom, but they won't stick to a budget. They dream of starting a business, but they can't commit to waking up early or investing in their growth. They dream of a better body, but they can't stay consistent in the gym or resist what's on their plate. It's not that the dream is wrong, it's that they haven't developed the discipline to reach it. Discipline is not about feeling good, it's about doing what's right, especially when it's inconvenient. It's waking up before the sun rises when your body screams for more sleep. It's choosing silence and focus when distractions are pulling at every part of your attention. It's doing what is required when you don't see immediate results. Discipline builds what emotion cannot. Emotion may get you started, but only discipline will carry you to the finish. When someone says they don't feel like it, that's a signal they're still on the wrong side of the bridge. Because those who dominate life don't wait to feel right. They do right until it feels normal. They condition their body, their mind, and their spirit to move in alignment with their highest calling. They've trained themselves to obey their commitments more than their comfort. And that's the power of discipline. You see, dreams are not rare. Everyone has dreams. Go anywhere in the world, every city, every village, every home, and you'll find someone who's imagined a better life, a higher level, a breakthrough moment. But domination, actual mastery over results, that belongs to the few who discipline themselves when no one's watching. While others are binge watching, they're building. While others are making excuses, they're making moves. While others are passive, they're planting seeds. Over and over again, even when the soil looks dry. Discipline is the habit of kings. It's the code of conquerors. It's the daily agreement you make with yourself that you will not settle for potential. You will pursue power, and not power over people, but power over yourself. Because the most dangerous enemy to your dream is not out there, it's the undisciplined version of you that keeps getting in the way. People admire the glory of domination, but forget the grind it took to get there. They see the success, but not the self-control behind it. They see the spotlight, but not the shadows of lonely practice and silent preparation. Discipline is forged in those quiet moments when no one claps for you, no one encourages you, and no one even believes in you, but you still show up, you still push, you still build. There is no fast track, no shortcut, no hack that can substitute for it. Discipline is the process that transforms desire into destiny. You can't dream your way to domination. You must discipline your way there. Every workout you don't skip, every dollar you save, every distraction you ignore, every deadline you meet, each of these is a brick in the bridge. Over time, they create a structure strong enough to carry you from where you are to where you were always meant to be. You cannot harvest where you haven't planted. This isn't just a law of nature. It's a law of life, business, relationships, success, and even your mindset. People often look at others who are thriving and wonder how they got there. But they fail to see the planting season that came long before the harvest. They see the rewards but overlook the roots. They admire the fruit but ignore the discipline that produced it. Too many people walk around with empty baskets, waiting for abundance to fall into their laps, yet their fields are barren. They want wealth without work, results without responsibility, promotion without preparation. But life doesn't work like that. The ground only gives to those who give first. If you haven't taken the time to plant seeds of consistency, effort, sacrifice, learning, and stagnation, then don't be surprised when your harvest looks like lack, struggle, and stagnation. The principle is simple. Sowing always precedes reaping. You sow time into your craft and you reap mastery. You sow energy into your body and you reap health. You sow love into your relationships and you reap connection. You sow excellence into your work and you reap opportunity. And here's what most people miss. The seed doesn't produce overnight. There's always a waiting period between planting and harvest. And what you do during that waiting season reveals everything about your future. Some people plant once and expect a forest. They make one move, one investment, one effort, and then quit because they didn't see immediate results. But the soil doesn't respond to entitlement, it responds to diligence. If you only plant when it's easy or convenient, your harvest will reflect your inconsistency. The ones who reap the greatest harvests are those who plant in every season, when it's hot, when it's cold, when it's lonely, when it's tough. They understand that if they keep sowing, the soil has no choice but to respond. You cannot withdraw from a field you've never deposited into. You cannot collect rewards from a routine you haven't committed to. People say they want growth, but they haven't watered the gifts they've been given. They want favor, but they haven't planted faithfulness. They want promotion, but they haven't planted humility and service. There's a divine order to how this works, and you can't violate it and expect blessing. Even when it looks like nothing is happening on the surface, the seed is still working, roots are growing, foundations are forming, but that only happens if you've planted something in the first place. When you look at someone successful and think they're lucky, what you're actually seeing is a harvest season following years of planting, late nights, early mornings, sacrifices, failures, restarts. All of it buried in the soil of discipline and commitment. If you keep showing up, the soil will eventually show out. But the opposite is also true. If you don't sow, don't expect to grow. The world responds to what you invest, not just what you desire. Desire without discipline is delusion. It's like walking into a field with an empty bag and expecting crops to bow to your wishes. The land owes you nothing until you've proven you understand the process. This law is not a punishment, it's protection. It puts power in your hands. It means you're not a victim of your circumstances, you're a result of your planting. And the beautiful thing is you can start planting today. You can change your harvest by changing your habits. Every choice, every action, every word, every moment, it's all a seed. And the seeds you plant consistently determine the story you'll live eventually. Do what you said you'd do, even after the mood is gone. That's the difference between people who finish and people who fantasize. Talk is cheap when energy is high. It's easy to make promises when you're excited, when the vision is fresh, when motivation is running through your veins. But real discipline is revealed not when you're inspired, but when you're inconvenienced. The true test of your commitment isn't what you do when it's easy. It's what you do when it's hard, when it's boring, when it's uncomfortable, when it's quiet, when no one is watching and no one is cheering you on. Most people live in cycles of starting and stopping because they rely on moods. They start the gym in January and stop in February. They launch a business on Monday and quit by Friday. They speak big goals but break small promises. Why? Because their actions are powered by emotion, not by decision. But emotion is unstable. It shifts with the weather, the traffic, the news, and even your sleep. You can't build anything lasting on a foundation that constantly moves. That's why the ones who succeed long-term are the ones who separate their choices from their feelings. They anchor their actions in conviction, not convenience. When you make a decision and then let your mood decide whether you follow through, you're giving your power away. You're putting your future in the hands of temporary emotions. You're letting how you feel in the moment sabotage what you said in the spirit. And that's why so many people are stuck, because they keep canceling on themselves. They make commitments and break them in silence. They think it doesn't matter because no one sees it, but your soul sees it. Your confidence erodes a little every time you don't follow through. You stop believing in yourself, not because you're weak, but because your subconscious remembers every promise you abandon. Doing what you said you'd do builds integrity. And integrity is not just about being honest with others, it's about being honest with yourself. When you follow through, even when it's painful, even when it costs you comfort, you prove to yourself that you are trustworthy, that your word is law, that you don't need external validation to maintain internal alignment. And that kind of self-trust is the foundation of all greatness. The reason some people walk into a room and command attention because they know they are who they say they are, not just in public, but in private. Every time you honor your word after the mood is gone, you build something invisible but powerful. You strengthen your identity. You shift from someone who tries to someone who trains. You shift from someone who reacts to someone who reigns. Because kings and queens don't need to feel royal to act royal. They act in line with their position, not their feelings. You've got to adopt the same mindset. You said you'd write the book, so write it. You said you'd get in shape, so train. You said you'd launch the project, so launch it. Don't ask your mood for permission, ask your purpose for instruction. People remember what you finish, not what you fantasize about. The world doesn't reward intention, it rewards execution. And execution requires consistency long after the inspiration is gone. It means building systems that function when motivation fails. It means creating routines that don't care how you feel. It means choosing responsibility over excuses and faithfulness over fluctuation. This is the secret weapon most people never discover. While they're chasing the next high, the next idea, the next push, you become a force of nature, unchanging, unshaken, unstoppable, because you've made the decision that your word means something, that your actions align with your identity, that your commitment is stronger than your comfort, that you don't just talk about what you'll do, you do it, especially when you no longer feel like it. Undisciplined habits lead to unfulfilled potential. There is no mystery in failure when you trace it back to the habits that built it. People don't end up broken, unhealthy, or spiritually dry by accident. It's the daily repetition of undisciplined choices that creates a life beneath what they were called to live. Every habit is either building your destiny or breaking it. Every time you choose ease over effort, you are investing in a future you're going to regret. You were born with potential, but that potential is powerless if it's not guided by discipline. Potential is like a seed. It has the capacity for greatness, but if you don't place it in the soil of discipline, water it with consistency, and protect it from distractions, it will never become what it was designed to be. That's the deception most people live under. They think potential is enough. They think talent will carry them. They think being gifted means they're guaranteed to win. But the truth is, the world is filled with talented failures, brilliant minds with broken lives, and dreamers who never built anything because they couldn't master their daily decisions. Discipline is what activates potential. It is the system that gives structure to your ability. Without it, you're just a scattered bundle of ideas, energy, and promise, directionless and drifting. You might have the passion, but without the patterns, you'll keep cycling in frustration. People often say they feel stuck, but they're not stuck. They're just enslaved by habits that are beneath their purpose. They don't need a new opportunity, they need a new operating system. Your habits are either hiring your future or firing it. If you don't control them, they will control you. Waking up late, skipping goals, procrastinating, complaining, indulging, wasting time on empty entertainment. These aren't just bad decisions. They are spiritual termites eating away at your destiny. The danger is that they don't destroy you overnight. They do it slowly, silently, while you're still clapping for your own potential. You think you're okay because your life hasn't collapsed yet, but erosion works beneath the surface. One day you wake up and wonder why the harvest never came, why the doors never opened, why the breakthrough never showed up, and the answer is rooted in the small, undisciplined habits you tolerated for years. People say they want to be great, but greatness isn't born from emotion, it's born from execution. The greatest people in history didn't just dream more, they did more. They repeated actions that felt insignificant in the moment, but compounded over time. That's what discipline does. It turns small steps into unstoppable momentum. It turns 10 pages a day into a library of knowledge. It turns one workout into a life. It turns 5 minutes of prayer into spiritual fire. Discipline isn't just about what you avoid, it's about what you build. The reason so many people feel powerless is because they've surrendered to the path of least resistance. They've confused freedom with indulgence. But freedom isn't doing whatever you want. True freedom is found in the strength to govern yourself, to say no when it's hard, to stay when it's uncomfortable, to finish when it's boring. Undisciplined habits rob you of that strength. They make you a slave to your moods, a victim of your impulses, a prisoner of your excuses. When you settle for undisciplined living, you're not just wasting time, you're wasting legacy. There are people waiting on the version of you that you were supposed to become. But you can't lead them because you haven't led yourself. You can't build anything that lasts if your foundation is cracked by compromise. What you do daily determines what you become permanently. Potential only matters if dreams only matter if they're developed. And the raw material of all development is discipline. The pain of discipline is lighter than the pain of regret. This is a truth that every successful person learns early and every struggling person eventually discovers. Pain is a part of the process no matter what path you choose. The difference is the type of pain and the return it brings. The pain of discipline is the pain that comes from stretching yourself, pushing past your limits, saying no when it's inconvenient, and showing up when it's uncomfortable. It's the pain of early mornings, late nights, tough decisions, delayed gratification, and silent sacrifice. But that pain has purpose, that pain has value, that pain produces results. Regret, on the other hand, is a heavier pain. It's the pain that lingers, the pain that grows, the pain that whispers, "What if?" long after the moment has passed. Regret is the weight of knowing you could have been more, done more, created more, impacted more, but you didn't because you chose comfort over calling. You chose temporary pleasure over long-term progress. And now the door is closed, the season has passed, and what remains is the ache of unfulfilled potential. People avoid discipline because they think it's too hard, but they fail to realize that avoiding discipline doesn't make life easier, it makes it harder in the long run. It might feel good now, but it costs more later. Every shortcut taken today adds interest to the pain you'll feel tomorrow. You skip a workout today, and in time you pay with your health. You ignore your responsibilities today, and later you pay with missed opportunities. You avoid developing your mind, and one day you pay with limitations you could have broken through. There is no such thing as pain-free living. There is only front-loaded pain with a reward or back-loaded pain with regret. Discipline is the entrance fee to every blessing you want. It is the currency you use to unlock strength, success, stability, and self-respect. It's the weight you lift now so you're strong enough to carry what's coming later. And here's what most people don't understand. Discipline doesn't get easier, you get stronger. At first, it feels like resistance. It feels like dying to yourself. But over time, it becomes your rhythm. Your rhythm becomes your routine, and your routine becomes your reality. Regret, by contrast, sneaks in quietly. It shows up years later, often when it's too late to fix what's been ignored. It's not loud at first, but it compounds. You'll hear it in the silence of dreams unpursued. You'll see it in the mirror of decisions you didn't make. You'll feel it in the gap between who you are and who you were supposed to be. Regret is not just emotional, it's spiritual. It's the echo of your assignment calling you from a place you never reached. Every time you choose discipline, you're making an investment into a future without regret. You're doing the hard thing now so that life gets better later. You're sacrificing in the short term for the sake of long-term peace. You're choosing to sweat now so you don't have to bleed later. And though it may sting in the moment, it's a small sting compared to the lifelong burn of looking back and wishing you had done more with what you were given. People often say they're afraid of failing, but the real fear should be succeeding at the wrong thing or never starting at all. Discipline isn't the enemy, it's your ally. It's the mentor that won't lie to you. It won't flatter you. It won't give you shortcuts, but it will give you results. It will give you respect. It will give you freedom from the haunting questions of what could have been if you'd only stayed the course. It's easier to endure the temporary inconvenience of discipline than the permanent scar of regret that comes from giving up or never beginning. Repetition is the mother of mastery. Nothing great is built without doing the same thing over and over again, even when it feels like nothing is changing. People crave excitement. They want the new strategy, the magic solution, the shortcut that will bring instant success. But the truth is, mastery is forged in repetition. It's built in the boring, consistent daily grind that most people run from. It's in the routine that looks ordinary but creates extraordinary results over time. Success isn't sexy, it's often simple, and it's hidden in the repetition most overlook. You don't get strong by lifting a weight once. You don't become fluent in a language by reading a phrase one time. You don't dominate a field by dabbling. Mastery is earned through deliberate repetition. It's choosing to show up every single day and execute even when the feelings are gone, the applause is silent, and the results are still small. Every time you repeat the process, you build something: skill, discipline, understanding, confidence, character, and eventually repetition turns into rhythm. Rhythm turns into routine, and routine turns into results. Most people quit too early because they misread the silence of repetition. They think the lack of visible progress means nothing is working. But what they don't realize is that repetition is planting roots. The growth isn't always seen, but it's happening. Underneath the surface, every rep, every step, every disciplined decision is building a foundation. And the stronger the foundation, the greater the structure that can be built on it. If you rush the process, you ruin the result. If you abandon the repetition, you abort the mastery. Repetition also reveals what kind of person you are becoming. It exposes your habits, your focus, your resilience. It trains you to rely not on motivation, but on intention. When you keep doing the right thing long enough, it becomes who you are, not just what you do. You shift from being someone who acts occasionally to someone who lives deliberately. That's how you separate from the average. Most people dip in and out. They try something for a week, a month, and when they don't see fireworks, they quit. But the uncommon keep going. They fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. They understand that mastery isn't found in the breakthrough moment. It's found in every moment leading up to it. Repetition demands patience. It's not about instant gratification. It's about long-term transformation. You have to be willing to do it over and over, not just until you get it right, but until you can't get it wrong. That kind of excellence only comes from deep repetition. It's not a lack of talent that keeps people stuck, it's a lack of consistency. The people at the top didn't get there by doing more spectacular things. They got there by doing simple things with spectacular consistency. There's power in doing the basics well. Most people abandon the basics in pursuit of something new, but the masters refine them daily. They don't get bored with repetition, they get better. They know that every great performance is built on thousands of rehearsals. Every genius idea is backed by countless hours of practice. Every level of success that looks effortless was forged in effort repeated over time. If you want to master anything, your craft, your body, your mind, your business, you have to commit to the repetition that most avoid. You have to out-discipline, out-remit, outlast. And while others are chasing the next thing, you're becoming unstoppable by doing the same thing with greater focus, greater precision, and greater intensity. Repetition is how you develop the edge that cuts through the noise, the habits that override distraction, the mindset that refuses to settle. Repetition is the mother of mastery. Nothing great is built without doing the same thing over and over again, even when it feels like nothing is changing. People crave excitement. They want the new strategy, the magic solution, the shortcut that will bring instant success. But the truth is, mastery is forged in repetition. It's built in the boring, consistent, daily grind that most people run from. It's in the routine that looks ordinary but creates extraordinary results over time. Success isn't sexy, it's often simple, and it's hidden in the repetition most overlook. You don't get strong by lifting a weight once. You don't become fluent in a language by reading a phrase one time. You don't dominate a field by dabbling. Mastery is earned through deliberate repetition. It's choosing to show up every single day and execute even when the feelings are gone, the applause is silent, and the results are still small. Every time you repeat the process, you build something: skill, discipline, understanding, confidence, character. And eventually, repetition turns into rhythm, rhythm turns into routine, and routine turns into results. Most people quit too early because they misread the silence of repetition. They think the lack of visible progress means nothing is working, but what they don't realize is that repetition is planting roots. The growth isn't always seen, but it's happening. Underneath the surface, every rep, every step, every disciplined decision is building a foundation. And the stronger the foundation, the greater the structure that can be built on it. If you rush the process, you ruin the result. If you abandon the repetition, you abort the mastery. Repetition also reveals what kind of person you are becoming. It exposes your habits, your focus, your resilience. It trains you to rely not on motivation, but on intention. When you keep doing the right thing long enough, it becomes who you are, not just what you do. You shift from being someone who acts occasionally to someone who lives deliberately. That's how you separate from the average. Most people dip in and out. They try something for a week, a month, and when they don't see fireworks, they quit. But the uncommon keep going. They fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. They understand that mastery isn't found in the breakthrough moment, it's found in every moment leading up to it. Repetition demands patience. It's not about instant gratification, it's about long-term transformation. You have to be willing to do it over and over, not just until you get it right, but until you can't get it wrong. That kind of excellence only comes from deep repetition. It's not a lack of talent that keeps people stuck. It's a lack of consistency. The people at the top didn't get there by doing more spectacular things. They got there by doing simple things with spectacular consistency. There's power in doing the basics well. Most people abandon the basics in pursuit of something new, but the masters refine them daily. They don't get bored with repetition, they get better. They know that every great performance is built on thousands of rehearsals. Every genius idea is backed by countless hours of practice. Every level of success that looks effortless was forged in effort, repeated over time. If you want to master anything, your craft, your body, your mind, your business, you have to commit to the repetition that most avoid. You have to out-discipline, out-remit, outlast. And while others are chasing the next thing, You're becoming unstoppable by doing the same thing with greater focus, greater precision, and greater intensity. Repetition is how you develop the edge that cuts through the noise, the habits that override distraction, the mindset that refuses to settle. Your environment will either strengthen your discipline or sabotage it. You can have the right mindset, the right goals, and even the right habits, but if you're constantly surrounded by distractions, discouragement, or mediocrity, it's only a matter of time before your focus fades. Discipline doesn't just come from within, it's also shaped by what's around you. The people, the places, the conversations, the media you consume, the energy in your daily space, all of it is either fueling your mission or feeding your excuses. You can't plant seeds of greatness and then surround them with weeds of negativity and expect them to grow. Your discipline is a seed and your environment is the soil. Toxic soil produces toxic fruit. If your space is chaotic, undirected, filled with people who tolerate low standards and celebrate shortcuts, it will wear down your resolve. You become what you're around. You absorb the mindset of the room. If the atmosphere around you is soft, you'll start living soft. If the people closest to you make excuses, you'll find yourself making excuses. Discipline isn't just about inner willpower. It's about designing a world around you that aligns with the person you're becoming. Too many people try to change their lives without changing their environments. They set powerful goals, but stay in powerless rooms. They say they want excellence, but keep returning to comfort zones filled with distractions and energy-draining influences. It's not just about what you want, it's about what you allow. Your future is being shaped not just by what you do, but by what you tolerate. You might have the right direction, but the wrong environment will steer you off course. Your environment includes more than just people. It's also your habits of consumption. What you watch, listen to, read, and scroll through is either sharpening your edge or dulling your vision. If your phone is filled with noise, nonsense, and negativity, don't be surprised when you feel uninspired and inconsistent. If your mornings start with chaos instead of clarity, don't be surprised when your day spirals into disorder. If your evenings are filled with entertainment that numbs your mind instead of content that fuels your mission, don't expect your discipline to stand strong when pressure hits. Creating a discipline-friendly environment requires intentional choices. You don't have to cut off the world, but you do have to curate what enters your space. That might mean spending less time with certain people, silencing distractions, rearranging your schedule, waking up earlier, cleaning your workspace, limiting your digital noise, or spending time in places that challenge your growth. It's not about being extreme, it's about being effective. You have a responsibility to guard your environment like a gatekeeper of your future. The most successful and disciplined people aren't just more motivated, they're more strategic. They don't wait until they feel like doing the work. They set up their space so doing the work becomes the default. They surround themselves with energy that aligns with their standards. They eliminate friction between themselves and the habits they want to keep. Their environment doesn't fight their discipline, it supports it. That's the kind of setup that turns good intentions into lasting habits. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And your systems are influenced by your surroundings. If you keep falling short, don't just look inward, look around. Ask yourself, is this environment building the person I'm becoming or breaking him down? Is this space feeding my growth or feeding my fears? Is this room pushing me toward my calling or pulling me back to my comfort? Discipline thrives in environments that are designed for growth. It thrives in places of focus, in cultures of excellence, in communities of high standards, in atmospheres where purpose is louder than pleasure. If you want to go higher, your surroundings have to rise with you. Your mindset is the battlefield where discipline is won or lost. It's not just about what you do, it's about how you think about what you do, the stories you tell yourself, the beliefs you hold, the attitude you carry. These invisible forces shape your ability to stay disciplined when everything inside you screams to quit. Discipline isn't just muscle, it's mental. It's the ability to face discomfort, delay gratification, and push through resistance without losing sight of the prize. But that kind of mental strength starts with mindset. Most people don't realize how much their mindset sabotages them. They let fear, doubt, and negative self-talk run the show. They convince themselves that discipline is punishment or deprivation. They see it as something painful to endure rather than a tool to empower. When the mind buys into the lie that discipline is a burden, it becomes a battle every time you try to do the right thing. You start bargaining with yourself, making excuses, and giving into temptation because your mindset has created an internal war zone. But what if you flip the script? What if discipline was not the enemy but the key to freedom? What if it was the bridge between where you are and where you want to be? When you change how you think about discipline, you change your entire approach to it. Instead of seeing it as I have to, you start seeing it as I get to. You realize that every disciplined action is a vote for the life you desire. Every no to distraction is a yes to your purpose. Every time you push through resistance, you're strengthening your mental muscles. Mindset is also about perspective. Life will always have challenges, setbacks, and moments when quitting feels easier. Your mindset determines whether you see those moments as roadblocks or stepping stones. When discipline is rooted in a growth mindset, failure is not defeat, it's feedback. It's a signpost that tells you where to adjust and keep moving. This perspective allows you to embrace discipline even in hard seasons because you understand that the discomfort is temporary, but the results are lasting. A disciplined mindset refuses to be a victim of circumstances. It takes responsibility for every choice and outcome. It refuses to blame others or external situations for lack of progress. Instead, it asks, what can I control right now? And then acts on it. This mindset empowers you to focus on what's possible rather than what's impossible. It trains you to see the big picture and keep your eyes on the prize, even when the journey is slow and the distractions are loud. Gratitude and self-compassion are also essential elements of a disciplined mindset. When you're too hard on yourself, discipline becomes a source of shame and frustration. You start beating yourself up for mistakes or missed days, and that cycle drains your motivation. But when you practice kindness toward yourself, recognizing that growth is a process and setbacks are normal, discipline becomes sustainable. It's no longer a rigid taskmaster, but a supportive coach helping you improve daily. Your mindset shapes your habits, and your habits shape your results. That's why mental training is just as important as physical effort. You have to guard your mind like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Feed it positive affirmations, surround yourself with empowering messages, and challenge limiting beliefs that tell you you're not enough or it's too hard. The stronger your mindset, the easier discipline becomes, not because the work gets easier, but because your mental resilience grows. When you master your mindset, you master your discipline. You turn it into a lifestyle, not a struggle. You don't wait for motivation, you create momentum. You don't hope for willpower, you build habits. You thrive in it, knowing that every disciplined choice is a step closer to the life you were made to live.